Hi, I'm Jeff from New York. Please like and subscribe.
Young Billionaire, Episode 95. Mathew is angry. Mathew recognized Lelaine and ran toward her. Mathew was wearing a pair of shorts, and he ran like Donald Duck, but he was determined to help Lelaine. When he had met her on Emerald Island, he had really liked her. If it wasn't for the fact that Lelaine was his brother's girlfriend, he would have tried to persuade her to date him. Kara, who was standing beside Jerry, didn't understand what was going on, but she guessed that it was some sort of emergency for Mathew to be running flat out into the lake. She whistled and waved to Spike in the water.
Here boy, come back to mommy.
Spike had been raised by Kara. The moment she called him, she stopped attacking Lelaine and ran onto the shore. He rushed over to her.
You crazy dog!
Shouted by Mathew as Spike passed him. He managed to kick him hard in the side. Spike was about to attack Mathew, but Kara pulled him away. Lelaine, who was still in the artificial lake, had lost all her strength. She was in severe pain, and there were several bite wounds on her body. She was floating in the water, too weak to save herself. She was losing all sense of what was happening and was starting to dip in and out of consciousness. Her only clear sensation was pain. The only thing she knew was that she wanted to get away from the pain as quickly as possible. She was ready to die, even if she had some stamina left to stay alive. She had lost the will. She didn't hear Mathew running toward her, shouting,
Lelaine, hang on, I'm coming.
She fell backward under the water, and the world went completely quiet. As her body sank, she felt the diamond necklace around her neck, floating up with the waves to her face. She wanted to touch the diamonds, but she didn't have the strength. As her eyes focused on the necklace, she remembered the day that Jeff had given it to her. The memory of Jeff's place around her neck appeared before her eyes. She remembered the moment when Jeff had kissed her in front of everyone. That kiss was so sweet. Lelaine had no idea. At that moment in New York, Jeff was lying drunk on the dining table as he had lost all control of his body. He was very happy with his friends, and a stupid smile was plastered on his flushed face. She didn't have the energy to think about Jeff anymore, and the image of him disappeared from her mind. She was fading away. But then the words that Jeff once said began appearing in her mind one by one, as she was dying.
Don't worry, I'll make everyone pay. Just tell me who hurt you. I'll look after you and I'll protect you from all of them. It's all right. As long as I'm here, I promise I won't let you get hurt. Even if I get injured protecting you, don't worry.
She thought.
Jeff, although you didn't do what you said, I don't blame you at all. I'm sorry, I left before I could say goodbye to you. If I could hold on, I wouldn't give up, but it hurts too much. I'm sorry. Take care of yourself, Jeff.
Lelaine closed her eyes. Her body gradually sank to the bottom of the lake. She was finally free.
Lelaine!
Mathew shouted in panic as he ran into the lake. He dived into the water and dragged Lelaine to the surface, losing his shorts in the process.
Lelaine, are you okay? Lelaine!
Mathew standing in the water and shouting at her, but her face was pale and she didn't move at all. He was frightened and shouted over to the ambulance.
Get over here and help me. Come over here quick.
Mathew dragged her body toward the shore as the two paramedics rushed over to them with a stretcher. They managed to get her on the stretcher. Luckily Lelaine was still breathing. Mathew shouted at the paramedics.
Hurry up. Get her to the hospital. If anything happens to her, I will destroy your families. Now go.
The paramedics quickly loaded Lelaine into the ambulance and headed to the hospital. With the sirens screaming and the lights flashing, Mathew took out his phone and called Jeff with a frown. He knew that he had to let him know what had happened to Lelaine. His eyes filled with worry as he placed his phone to his ear. Lying on the table, drunk, Jeff didn't notice his phone blinking, ringing and shaking.
Damn it! What the hell are you doing?
Mathew tried calling 3 times, but he couldn't get through. In a fit of anger, he threw his phone into the lake and said,
Damn it!
He looked at the others with a cold gaze and walked toward the crowd in his bare feet. As he walked, he pointed at Jerry and cursed.
You have a nerve. How dare you touch my brother's girlfriend?
He went over to Jerry and slapped him on the face. Everyone gasped. They had renewed respect for Mathew having the courage to slap someone like Jerry. Jerry pleaded.
Mathew, please calm down. It was this woman who poisoned my dog. It was because I was so angry that I wanted to punish her anyway. I didn't know she was Jeff's girlfriend.
After being slapped, Jerry didn't feel pain or even shame. He felt fear. He wanted to calm Mathew down as quickly as he could. Mathew listened, then spat on Jerry's face. After staying with Lelaine in Emerald Island for 10 days, he was a little in love with her. He couldn't understand how Jerry couldn't see what she was really like.
Do you really believe that Lelaine poisoned your dog? Don't you realize that she can't even bear to pick a single flower? Do you think someone like that could harm your dog?
With Mathew's mind made up about the situation, Jerry knew that saying anything more would only make him angrier. He pointed at Mason and Elsa and said,
They told me that my dog got sick because he drank her mineral water.
You all.
Justin looked coldly at Mason and Elsa and slowly walked toward them. Mason was so scared that he looked like he had aged instantly. He stuttered, Mathew, that's not what happened. His face was creased and his lips were trembling. Saliva and mucus were flowing down his face, and his legs were shaking badly. Just as Mathew approached to slap his face, Mason's legs collapsed beneath him and he dropped to the ground. Kneeling on the ground in front of Mathew, he continued to beg. Mathew, it wasn't me, it was her. It was Elsa who made me frame Jeff's girlfriend, and she was the one who gave her that bottle of water. She spiked the water with the drugs, causing Lelaine's stomach ache. Without hesitation, Mason tried to put all the blame onto Elsa. He made it very clear that he was not responsible for any of it.
You piece of crap.
Mathew said as he kicked Mason's head. Luckily, his feet were still bare, so he didn't do too much damage. He turned to Elsa, shouting,
Damn it! How dare you spike Lelaine's water? I'll kick you to death.
He grabbed her hair and slapped her face 10 times. When he let go of her, Elsa's body went limp, and she also fell onto the ground.
Stop pretending you're hurt. Get up.
Mathew cursed at Elsa. Then he turned to the 4 girls he was with and said,
Go into the lake and find my shorts.
Soon, someone brought Mathew his shorts. He continued to shout at Elsa, who was lying on the ground.
Stand up. Now bend over with your hands on your knees.
Elsa was too terrified to disobey him. She stood up and bent over, sticking her butt out.
You stupid bitch. How dare you plot against Lelaine? Why are you so vicious?
Mathew continued to curse at her as he stepped forward and started spanking Elsa's butt hard with his shorts. With every spanks, she screamed miserably.
Go on, and cry.
He laughed. Only after a total of 30 spanks did Mathew stop hitting her. He threw his shorts on the ground, put them on, and walked towards Spike. Elsa closed her eyes and fell to the ground. Seeing Mathew approaching, Spike threw himself forward, barking wildly. Woof 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 woof. He remembered vividly how Mathew had just kicked him.
Spike, calm down.
Kara scratched his head and smiled awkwardly at Mathew.
What are you going to do?
She asked him as she pulled the dog behind her with the leash. Mathew ignored her. His gaze was fixed on Spike.
Bring me a pair of pliers.
Mathew roared. Although none of his actual servants was there, no one wanted to disobey him. Jerry immediately had the staff find a pair of pliers and personally handed them over to Mathew. The only thing on his mind was quelling Mathew's anger toward him. Kara shouted angrily at Jerry.
Jerry, how could you?
She was furious with him. Not only did he not stick up for her and Spike, but Jerry had become Mathew's accomplice. Mathew had already walked up to her. She shouted at him anxiously.
Go away.
Shut up.
Mathew snatched the leash from Kara's hands and kicked her to the ground. Woof, woof woof. Spike barked crazily at Mathew, still trying to bite him.
This dog's even more dangerous than I thought.
Mathew had the advantage of the dog leash, so it was easy for him to dodge the dog's attack. Instead, he managed to use his height from above to kick him a few times. As he saw Spike leap toward him, he immediately wrapped his arms around his neck and threw him to the ground. The man and the dog rolled on the grass. Mathew managed to get on top of Spike, and then he really had the advantage. Woof, woof. Spike was howling in fear. Mathew reacted by punching him right in the nose. He said,
Shut up, dog.
He hit Spike a few times to shut him up. Finally, Spike didn't dare to cry out anymore. He just closed his mouth and let out a low whimper.
Stupid dog.
Mathew punched Spike again, causing the dog to open his mouth in pain. He seized the opportunity and shoved the pliers into his mouth with his right hand.
You dare to bite my brother's girlfriend? You'll be sorry. I'm gonna pull out all your teeth.
He used his hand to keep Spike's mouth open. He clamped the pliers tightly onto one of his longest bulldog teeth and pulled it out.
I'm not finished yet.
Mathew said, as he once again opened Spike's mouth with a punch. His pliers clamped onto another tooth, and he pulled it out.
Open up. There's a good dog.